All right, we move on to Seattle Seahawks at Los Angeles Rams. These Rams open up at -7. That quickly moves to -6. There's some books saying that there's 4.5s out there. Let me just see if that's. Let me just move to a book right now. And yes, these are stale lines. So the Seahawks have moved to 4.5. I should pull up Pinnacle. I'm going to pull up Pinnacle because it looks like these lines aren't. I'm just going to pull up Pinnacle here. I don't think these lines are refreshing at this point. All right, let's break it down here. So this has moved from 7 to 4.5. There must be some injury stuff that we're going to uncover here. And it's 50-50 on the amount of tickets. And they're not giving us cash flow. Just 2,912 tickets in. 62% of tickets are on the over in this spot. We're at SoFi. Seahawks 5-8, 3-4 on the road. Rams 8-4, 4-2 at home. Seahawks coming off a dominant 33-13 win at the lowly Texans. Russell Wilson 17-28 for 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. It was Wilson's 89th game with 2 TD passes or more. That passes Dan Marino for the second most games in the player's first 10 NFL seasons. Peyton Manning is first with 92. Tyler Lockett caught 5 passes for 142 yards and a touchdown. That's 1,023 yards this season. So he joins Steve Largent. God, he's one of my favorite players of my youth for sure. As the only players in franchise history to have at least 1,000 yards receiving in 3 straight seasons. Rashard Penny ran 16 times for a career high, 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. They got 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. Cornerback Gavin Heslop was carted off the field, and it looks like it's a bad injury. Same with defensive tackle Brian Moan, sprained his knee. DJ Reed they're calling it a bruised chest. Let's take a closer look at this stuff. So DJ Reed is expected to play against the Rams. PCL strain from Moan, so he's going to be out. And as we know, Jamal Adams' season is over. Heslop did have to go through successful surgery on his leg. He is done for the season. Fuller, Homer, and Shell all inactive last week and questionable this week. Yes, Gerald Jones, this list is long. Let's go. LA Rams added Odell Beckham Jr. and 8 other players to the reserve COVID-19 list on Tuesday. So we have Beckham, defensive back Terrell Burgess, tight end Bryson Hopkins, defensive back Juju Hughes, offensive tackle Alaric Jackson, defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day, safety Jordan Fuller, defensive end Jonah Williams and Tyler Hall were also added, but they're practice squad members. The 9 players that were added to the reserve COVID list joined the 4 who were placed there over the past 3 days that weren't in the lineup. Running back Darrell Henderson, right tackle Rob Havenstein, and cornerback Jalen Ramsey, and cornerback Dante Dayon. Tight end Tyler Higbee was removed from the COVID list. Higbee, it was a false positive. So Higbee should have played, could have played, didn't play. So that is the big market move. I should have known that. I know that from my notes, but there's just so many games and I'm a little blurred, and I watched the market move there and didn't know what was going on. Rams coming off a big 30-23 victory at Arizona. Stafford 23-30 for 287 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Cooper Kupp got 13 more passes for 123 yards and a touchdown. We already talked about OBJ being on that COVID list. He caught 6 passes for 77 yards and a touchdown. That's his 3rd touchdown since joining the team. He did not have a touchdown in 6 games with Cleveland, and this is the first time he scored touchdowns in 3 straight games since 2015. Sony Michel ran 20 times for 79 yards. Aaron Donald was a monster, got 3 of the team's 4 sacks. Leonard Floyd had 8 tackles, 1 quarterback hit, and 1 interception. Ernest Jones had an interception and 7 tackles. Andre Whitworth made NFL history by becoming the first player to start the game at left tackle at 40 years of age. And Brian Allen and Terrell Lewis were both inactive last week, and our list says questionable this week. A lot of COVID issues, but you have to, from a capping perspective, decide how important these players are to this squad. Rams open up as 7-point favorites, now 4.5-point favorites. Take it away, Bebsie.
Well, I think there's a ton of value in taking the Rams here because, again, I think there's enough time to maybe get some of those players back off of COVID. But also, their stars on defense are still in. And this Rams team has owned this Seahawks team. Also, this Rams team coming off a win that puts them back in contention of coming back and winning this division. after a 3-game slide that had everyone worried about them. Look, the Seattle Seahawks team is not very good. We talked about the Niners game in which they had no business winning and they snuck it out. And then you beat up on a Houston Texans team that gives you this 2-game streak that all of a sudden people are like, oh, the Seahawks have life. I do not think so. I think the Seahawks get owned this week by the Rams. Again, they're going to get some of these players back, I think. But also the key players, by and large, with the exception of Odell Beckham, who is quickly becoming a key player on this team. But I think, again, there's a good chance OBJ's back. I think if you want to bet the Rams, bet them now. I think there's value in it.
I guess I'm going to pull up FanDuel. They're saying there's a 4 at FanDuel. Is that something that you want to do right now, or are you going to wait till there's more information?
Well, if there's more information, I think it's only going to hurt me. So it's now or never.
And you're going to stay off at this point?
Well, my fear is that what if there's more players added to COVID?
Yeah. It is at 4. Yeah, 4 at FanDuel. Okay. So no move at this point. Again, dealing with a ton of issues. But Twadi says 4 is a gift.
I kind of agree there. You know what? I am going to move on it. I just think this Rams team is so much better.
All right. So Bebsie is moving on the Rams -4 at -114.
I think this Rams team finally puts this Seattle Seahawks team out of their misery this year.
Put them to bed. Interesting. And Bet365 is hanging the 4.5 right now. Very, very, very interesting. Let's go. Brandon says Rams own. Chris Brady's with me on the Blazers. I'm nervous about that spot. I did take the Knicks first half, so just lost a little bit of vig on that game because I'd lost the full game +5. Okay, let's move on.